It's day 3 and they still think I did it. What's gonna happen to me if they find me guilty?
Well, it won't be good.
You're my only chance of survival here, sir. I'm counting on you to prove I didn't do it. For both our sakes, I hope you can get the verdict we need to win.
I better get back into the courtroom. I'll see you in there. I promise you'll be free by the end of the day.
It's incredible your lawyer has managed to keep this trial going for as long as he has. Just admit you did it, and we'll only give you 20 years in prison.
20 years? You want to soil my reputation and take away 20 years of my life? Not happening, pal.
Well, 20 years is the best I can do. Suma was rather famous after all. It's either you admit to your crime, or you get the chair.
Like I said, no deal. You'll have to play dirty to get the verdict you want.
Oh, the next witness will seal your fate. You might know him, actually. He was the one that handed you over to the police, after all.
No, it can't be him?
Oh, yes. Him. Now then, the trial is about to begin. I sure hope your attorney can perform another miracle. It's entertaining to see just how far he'll go to get an innocent verdict.
Well, if it isn't Miss Murderer. How have you been the last few days?
Me? Murderer? You know what you did, Doberman. Why don't you just admit it so we can all go home?
Oh, darling, it's much more entertaining to see those two lawyers go at it. I suspect that attorney of yours will try some psychological tricks on me, but my testimony is perfect.
You won't get away with this. Brett may not be the smartest person outside of this courthouse, but I've seen his skills here. By the end of the trial, you'll be the one in cuffs, Doberman. Maybe I'll get a picture and frame it on my wall like how you tried to frame me.
Please, darling. Your picture would look amazing up on my wall, inside a rectangle of ornately carved wood. Of course, you'd be adorable anywhere, but my point stands. Oh, would you look at the time? We'd better get in there before they send a guard to find you.
Fine. I hope you're ready to get your ass kicked in there.
It'll be glorious to watch. Ta-ta, hopeless. I'll see you on the battlefield.
The prosecution calls for its next witness.
Ah, hello everyone. A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
My name is Johnny Doberman, and I'm quite a skilled writer. You might even say I'm a master at my craft. I'm almost as good at writing as I am at witnessing.
Now then, you may give your testimony, but be warned, the defense will badger you to no end.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I arrived at the Asmer tailor shop around 2:30. I had a fitting scheduled for 2:45 and wanted to arrive early. After waiting 15 minutes, Miss Suma didn't show up. I thought she was busy, so I paid no mind to it. However, I began to get a little worried. At 2:55, I stepped outside to make a call to Miss Suma, when I saw the defendant, Hope, standing over Miss Suma's body with a smoking gun. Clearly, she had just shot Miss Suma. She aimed it at me, shaking in her murderous little boots. That's when I charged her and used a disarming technique to, well, disarm her and knock her to the ground. The police showed up right after.
Well, would the defense like to waste our time by cross-examining the testimony?
I would love to. A lot of your testimony makes sense. However, one thing bothers me.
Oh? And what might that be?
In your testimony, you claim that my client had shot Miss Suma. However, that's not possible.
What?
The victim had been stabbed in the chest, not shot. Not to mention, she died between the time of 2 o'clock and 2:45, meaning you couldn't have walked out to see my client over a freshly killed body.
Objection! Well done, Mr. Bread. You've pointed out the obvious. However, there's one thing that you overlooked.
What?
I asked for an updated autopsy report, and it says here that the victim could have died at some point between 2 and 2:55. Your client still could have stabbed her and thrown the knife down a nearby sewer drain or something of the like, before drawing a gun in order to take care of any witnesses.
Yeah, that must be what I saw. She threw the knife away and fired the gun at me, but I dodged and tackled her before getting the gun away from her.
And how many shots did she fire at you?
3 in total, I believe.
Gotcha.
What?
You need to work on your lies, Mr. Doberman. My client couldn't have fired the gun at you 3 times.
Hope did, I swear.
Perhaps the prosecution would like to explain why you're wrong.
The gun was fired 2 times in total.
Therefore, if the victim had just been shot, there is no way you had been shot at 3 times.
How? That's simply impossible.
And another thing. There was only a count of 1 gunshot that day, and no bullet was found.
Where are you going with this, Bread?
I can prove who the murderer is, how it went down, and where the bullet is.
Then by all means, please try.
Now, if you would recall Johnny's recent statement, he said that Hope threw the knife away directly after stabbing Suma. However, this knife was never found. Adding to that, there's no dumpster or sewer drain nearby, meaning that there's no way the forensics team wouldn't have found the knife if it was used at that time.
And where is this going?
Johnny Doberman, you're the killer. You stabbed Miss Suma, disposed of the weapon, and framed Hope.
Objection! Silly Bread. How easily you forget. When someone is stabbed, they tend to bleed. A lot. How could he have stabbed her and not have any blood on his suit?
It's obvious. The murder didn't take place at 2:55.
What?
You heard me.
Then what time did I supposedly kill her?
2:45 p.m. Exactly when the fitting had started, when only he and the victim were in the room. He stabbed her, disposed of the evidence, changed clothes, and moved the body. However, he was seen by Hope, who drew her gun in fear. Not wanting to leave any witnesses, he attacked her, before realizing that he could pin the blame on her.
Well done, Bread. You've fallen right into my trap. I will admit, this is a fun little bit of speculation you've done, but I'm afraid it's all for naught. Tell me, what colour was Hope's gun?
Hope's gun? I believe it was a black .45 revolver that the police confiscated from her. It was loaded with 1 bullet, which had already been fired.
Now, isn't that interesting? Hope is the registered owner of a firearm, but it's a silver .38 revolver. We're currently unsure of its whereabouts.
Oh no.
There is actually one person involved in this incident who has a black .45, and that would be the victim, Suma Asma. So clearly, Hope shot Suma with her own gun to make it look like a suicide.
Hope, is this true? No. I can't go doubting myself now. There has to be something I can find. 2 guns, but a knife wound killed her. Johnny Doberman.
Huh? I wasn't listening.
I have a bit of a question for you. A writing question, if you will. Don't you dare. This question very well may decide the case. Tell me, Doberman, why would a woman who has a gun use a knife to kill her target?
Well, a gun's superior to a knife, right? So much damage you can inflict, and at long ranges too. If I were writing a fight scene, I would have the character try to attack with the gun, only using the knife as a sidearm in case they ran out of bullets. Either that, or only one person had a gun, and the other was desperate enough to rush them down with a knife.
Now that's very interesting. Your argument is that Hope fought an unarmed Suma with a knife instead of using a gun?
I saw what I saw. Hope killed Sue with a knife, and then fired a gun at me. I'm willing to admit my ears might have been ringing badly enough that I thought I heard more shots than were actually fired, but that's an honest mistake and nothing more.
That's actually rather sensible. I suppose that's all I can ask you for. But there's just one more thing that doesn't sit quite right with me. I can't figure out why the defendant would choose a knife in particular to do the deed.
Mr. Bread, haven't you figured it out? I suppose I may have overestimated your deductive abilities.
Ad hominem, amended testimony. Which do you think is more useful to me?
You've been awfully quiet, Mr. Blump. Isn't it about time for you to hit your desk or something?
I'm curious. Answer the question, please.
I suppose there's no point in wasting time. Now, this is just a theory of mine. Something I've put together from the evidence I've heard you mention here. Still, it seems most likely, to me, that Hope stabbed Suma because a gun would be too easy to trace back to her. That, I believe, is why she only drew her gun when she saw that she would have to kill 2 people instead of 1.
Objection! Ah! Johnny Doberman, you put up a good fight. I'd tip my hat to you, if I had one. As for you, Prosecutor Blump, I thank you by choosing to wait and see what happened instead of pressing an attack. You allowed justice to reveal itself. Now, let's begin.
Have you gone mad? What is this? This sensation?
Your answer is a very sensible one. I'd expect nothing less from you. It's so sensible that it ignores a critical detail. Hope didn't shoot her gun. I'm willing to believe you up to a certain point. In fact, I'd be willing to stake my entire career on the fact that Hope fired a gun at you.
Finally. I was wondering if you were ever going to trust me.
Hope didn't fire her gun at you.
Spoke too soon. What is it now? What new fabrication have you concocted for the sake of converting my coccyx to concrete?
The gun Hope fired at you was a black .45 cal revolver. Hope shot at you with Suma's gun.
Objection! You've badgered my witness quite enough, Mr. Bread. One thing that has been made quite clear in this trial, Johnny Doberman doesn't know what he's talking about. That doesn't make him a murderer.
Not bad, my crusty friend. You've just about pushed me to my absolute limit. If only you had one more piece of evidence to pin all this on me. Well, you have my sincerest apologies. Despite your best efforts, your lie will remain a lie.
It only takes one piece of evidence to turn my lie into the truth.
Sorry, friend. It's over.
Yes, Mr. Bread. It is over. If you can't land one final shot.
Blump?
What's wrong, Bread? A prosecutor's job is to chase criminals up a tree until it's certain that they're guilty. I simply want to ensure that justice is done.
Thank you, Blump. Johnny Doberman, tell me, what is this object that I'm holding?
My patience has been wearing thin for the past 5 minutes. Are you sure that this is a good time to test me.
Yes.
Oh. Fine. That chunk of metal in your hand looks like a bullet. I can't be sure because it's kinda short and the tip is flat. Is that all you wanted? Did I make you happy?
Yes. This, everyone, is a bullet. It's a very special type of bullet. This is what's known as a blank, and it's sized to fit a .45 caliber gun. Would anyone care to guess where I found it?
Oh.
That's correct. I found it in Johnny Doberman's car. Now, the thing about this bullet is, you can fire it, and it'll produce a gunshot without the projectile. Imagine what would happen if you swiped all the bullets from Suma's gun and replaced them with blanks.
Hold it. If Johnny loaded Suma's gun with blanks, surely we would have discovered that.
Yeah, you could have planted that for all we know.
You're forgetting, Blump. Johnny had time to dispose of the evidence. However, I thought about some things while going over this case. Namely, Suma's gun was fired 2 times in total, and it was loaded with blanks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're gonna carry a firearm for defense, you don't load it with only blanks.
So, where is this going exactly?
It's rather obvious, don't you think? Suma's gun was loaded with real rounds, and you swapped them out after the murder. But that's not all. I know where the first shot fired from the gun is.
What?
While poking around in Johnny's car, I noticed some peculiar items. A blood-soaked bandage, and a bottle of painkillers. Of course, you couldn't tell from the way he's been presenting himself, but Mr. Doberman was shot by Suma.
Wait, why were you going through his car?
That's irrelevant. What you do need to worry about is the bullet wound currently on your body somewhere, Mr. Doberman.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh? Then you wouldn't mind rolling up your left sleeve for me, would you? I've noticed how you've been moving on that stand. You've barely moved your left arm, and when you do, you let out a slight wince of pain.
Object!
Shut it, Blump. Even you can see the guilt on his face. When he stabbed Miss Suma, she pulled a gun and shot him right in the left arm. Knowing he'd have to leave the body for a little to clean up, he decided to switch out the real rounds for blanks that he just so happened to have, just in case anybody came across the body and attempted to shoot him too.
Hold it, Bred. You're forgetting one thing. A motive.
Yeah? Why would I kill Suma? She's one of my best friends.
That's the thing. You didn't have a motive. You did it just to kill her. Am I right?
Ha! That's where you're wrong, Bred. I killed her because I... Oh.
What? Are you saying what I think you're saying?
You were about to say, I killed her because I was jealous, weren't you? If I recall, you and Suma were in a fashion show recently, and she beat you by a single point. Of course, anybody in that situation would be a little irritated, but you...
Stop! I admit it. I killed Suma Asmer. I stabbed her, and she shot me. If not for that accursed bullet, I would have gotten away with it all.
Well, I guess that settles it. We found our killer, and it was all thanks to Bred breaking into someone's car.
You don't need to worry about that. Just enjoy the moment. We caught a killer and proved someone's innocence, for crying out loud. Now, I believe our defendant has some words.
You're damn right I have some words. Bred, thanks for believing in me. Blump, thanks for inadvertently helping us. Johnny, I think you'll look good in a nice orange prison uniform. Now someone get a picture for me. I need to frame it on my wall.
I won't forget this. You'll all rue the day you crossed Johnny Doberman. Ow, ow. Okay. I'll go quietly. You got me.
The taste of freedom is a delicious one.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. Eventually.
I'm sorry, what did you just say to me?
You've been proven not guilty for the charge of murdering Suma Asma, it's true. But there's still the matter of those other 2 murders, as well as the alleged war crimes. Quite honestly, I pity the Balkans after what you've put them through.
Bread?
Well, looks like we're gonna have quite a party. Let's get to it.